Husband 30M and I 28F opened our relationship and now everything is terrible. My husband and I have been married for 6 years, together for 8. My husband, I'll call him Eric, has always been a really intense person, but he's a good man. When we got together I noticed he had a much higher sex drive than I did, but I would usually have sex with him when I wasn't in mood anyway because I love him. He's never vocalized any problems until somewhat recently. I should also mention, just before we got married we talked about having kids. I'm indifferent to kids whereas he doesn't want them, so agreed not to have them. Over the last year my sex drive has been almost non-existent. I've been checked by doctors and they say nothing is wrong physically, but I should talk to a therapist, which I haven't done yet. I haven't even been able to just have sex with him to have sex like I was doing. About 4 months ago he sat me down and we talked about all this and he said he needs sex, which I told him I understood, but I can't give that to him right now. We argued for a bit and he ended up sleeping on the couch. In the morning he suggested we open the relationship. I was heartbroken. He explained that we either give this a try or end the relationship. So I agreed. We set boundaries, no bringing the person to our house ever, no talking about it, always use protection and regularly get tested. He agreed to all of this. I was actually surprised how okay I was with this as the months moved along. Even when he'd text me that he's going to be late, or when he'd kiss me and tell me his plans that night. It almost felt like a burden was lifted from me. Well, yesterday my husband sat me down again and said he's something really difficult to tell me. For the last couple of months he's been seeing this one girl and she's pregnant. I think I dissociated a little because I heard him talking but couldn't understand the words he was saying. When I came back to reality I asked if it was his and is she keeping it. Yes and yes. And he plans on being in this child's life actively. I asked him who she was and he told me. It's someone I know, not well, but I do know who she is. I'm utterly heartbroken. I haven't told family or friends yet, I asked him not to. I asked him if he wants a divorce, he didn't say no. He's basically leaving it up to me. So I guess my question is, do I cut my losses and move on or give this marriage another try? Move on to the comment. You agreed to an open relationship you didn't want instead of just ending the marriage. Obviously now you need to end the marriage. You didn't want to be in an open relationship, and you are obviously not going to be okay with your husband raising some other woman's kid. This is probably just a troll post, but if it isn't, divorce is clearly the answer. You should have cut your losses and moved on the second he said the words open marriage. The best time to leave was then. The second best time to leave is right now. How you going to give this marriage another try if it already over? He got a new family. Move on. There's nothing to save here. Are you okay with him staying with his girlfriend and raising a child together? That also means you'll be pushed into a stepmom role for his kid by another woman. Seriously. I never get how people think bribing someone else into their marriage will fix whatever problems they are having. There are so many other things to try before you allow your partner to sleep with other people and develop possible feelings for them. I'm sorry to say, it's time to end the marriage. As heartbroken as you are, do you really want to watch or be pushed to the side when he is involved in the appointments, birth, and upbringing of their child? It's time to move on. Honestly, one of the few situations where an open relationship had a semblance of sense to it. I think it could have worked if husband left it to casual hook UPS. Right? She was actually pretty fine with it and it seemed like a good solution to their problem. Then he broke the rules, and now there's a baby. It's time for her to leave. Non-monogamy requires a lot of trust, and that's gone now. He broke the rule of wearing a condom or it was defective. Regardless, that's what happens when you put another person in a marriage and you're not totally okay with it. Time for divorce or you'll be watching husband be a father to another woman's child. He doesn't seem to be making any claims about defective condoms. I wouldn't necessarily believe him if he did make that claim, but he's not even trying it, so I'm guessing he skipped the rubbers. He also seems pretty certain it's his, and given the timeline it's somewhat unlikely he'd already have a DNA test, which is something he'd very much want if they were really using condoms every time. Let's be honest. He never once wore a condom. Cut your losses. It's clear it's already over to those of us that can look at it from the outside with no feelings involved. I think you will be happier. He lied and completely broke your trust, and now he's a father with a child. That is all things you didn't sign up for. I hope you get out and call a lawyer today. God, open relationships are so fucking stupid. It was over well before all of this. Leave. I agree with this statement. It's much more simplistic to just stay single if they wish to live the bachelor/bachelorette lifestyle. But a solution like this in this kind of situation always has the potential to get really messy, Imo. Considering ending the marriage, what would have cinched it for me was him being apathetic about a divorce. Stay or leave, it's up to you would have just killed me. Sadly, it's time to move on. Most guys aren't getting good quality casual hookups. Exactly. Obviously we're never compatible in the first place, and shouldn't have married. Luckily you're young enough that you have time to start anew, and no one will bat an eye. Lots of divorcees out there. He should have cut his losses when their sex life died and his wife refused to see a therapist about it. Or, hear me out on this, sister moms. I am joking, I am convinced this is a troll post. I am leaving, okay? It's like that saying about investing in the stock market, the best time to invest was 20 years ago, the second best time is right now. Voice of reasoning. And also, she should finally get therapy for herself to help with her emotions. This must be hard to deal with. Just end it. It's over. Are you getting anything out of this marriage other than someone to split bills with? You didn't mention how you handle finances in the relationship. Be aware that your husband's impending parenthood with someone else certainly impacts his finances, and that, in turn, will affect yours. If your finances are wholly separate, his ability to do fun stuff like travel or go in on a house remodel or even splash out at a nice restaurant is going to be constrained by child-rearing expenses. If your finances are joint, congratulations, you're now underwriting the family he's creating with another woman. Money aside, the introduction of a child adds a time constraint to your life that wasn't there before. Your husband has announced he intends to be an active parent. Any weekend plans you want to make, you'll have to make sure they don't interfere with his family time. Same for holiday plans. If you're the celebrate Christmas types, that whole period is about to be hijacked for the magic of the holidays with children. Your husband has made it clear that he's centering his life and his wants, and whether or not you're along for the ride is your call. What are you getting out of this arrangement? We have a joint account for household expenses but keep our money separate otherwise. He makes exceptionally more than I do and has always wanted to keep his money his. Which I never had a problem with because I work and make enough money for myself. I never thought about the holiday plans. My family is pretty big on Christmas and Easter. I wouldn't even know how to explain why he's not there. It is over. He is in another relationship with someone else. He is having a family with her. He planned all this. He was dating her, not opening the relationship. He had a girlfriend, now he is telling you he is gonna be with her and the child. You need to move on, it is over. If you stay you look pitiful. He told you he didn't care one way or the other, but that is bullshit. He has moved on. Pick your pride up and go. He's having a family celebration with his girlfriend and their child is the explanation. If you can't be comfortable with either the situation, remaining married to someone who's excited to start a family with someone else, or stating the truth of that situation, you'll want to ask whether you should stay in that situation. I'm sorry. This is a lot of change to handle at once. You two were sexually incompatible, and instead of just ending things, you took this path. This was always going to be a risk. I'm sorry it happened. I think you'd be best off to step away as it's going to be messy. I'm sorry, but this is not about sexual incompatibility. Instead of caring about her, he tells her that either he has sex with her or anyone else, or they're done. Is that love? Is marriage only for sex? Couldn't he have gone to therapy with her? If that didn't work, couldn't they have divorced, if it was that bad, and end in good terms? Sometimes I really can't get all this relativism. So this dude just wanted permission to fuck around while still having someone in his house to share the bill / clean / cook / whatever this woman does, plus occasional sex, of course, get someone pregnant against that awful BTW agreement they had. Girl, why the fuck did you put in this voluntarily, and tells her all this shit? Plus, an open marriage, sleeping with someone your spouse knows of, and sleeping repeatedly with that person to the point of having a side relationship? Is that really what they agreed on? This is disgusting, and it's not about sexual incompatibility, it's about being utter trash as a man, and seriously neglecting yourself and your needs as a wife. I don't understand how could you think he was this important when he didn't even respect your difficulties. It sounds like you're blaming up for her husband not sticking to the boundaries they set. I'm not saying the open relationship was a good idea, but it was the breaking boundaries that caused this and not necessarily the open relationship. What boundaries did he break? They agreed to an open relationship and he knocked a chick up. That's a risk you run. I'm kinda in a similar situation. My GF sex drive completely disappeared. She's still very affectionate and we do everything but sexual acts. She plans on seeing a DR and therapist, but it's been a while and it's hard to be patient. I'm pretty sure she has past trauma, but she doesn't talk about it, just hint at it. I love her very much, but a relationship without sex is extremely hard. I try to be encouraging and reassuring, but after a certain point if there isn't change I will have to end it, and that breaks my heart and I know it would destroy hers. Why would you want to be with someone that went against the agreement you both had together by getting someone pregnant and also reneging on the fact that he didn't want kids? Can you really envision your future of being the side piece and afterthought when there's a child involved? Staying with him when he wants to be involved in raising a child outside of your marriage with someone else just sounds like hell on earth waiting to happen. Opening up a relationship almost always leads to a failing marriage's end point. I would also start that therapy as of yesterday, as this is a whole new ball game. Yesterday as